Hi, everybody. I'm excited today that we've got Kim Parrett from Sacred Heart University joining us, and she's going to, and Sarah Koloski, and they're going to share a little bit with us about Sacred Heart. And I'm excited because I haven't been to campus yet. I say yet, and hopefully in normal times I'll be able to get out to the campus and see it because I know that it's beautiful from what I've seen. But I will let you take it from here, Kim.
Okay, thank you so much, Kristina. Sarah and I are happy to be here. We just have a short presentation for you, just a little information about Sacred Heart. This first slide obviously is just some photos, and Sarah and I are both regional directors of admissions. We aren't actually based on campus, where I'm in Florida and Sarah is in Colorado. So for the state of Ohio, Sarah is actually the person who would be reading applications and contacting students and things like that. So let me move on. Sacred Heart is a mid-sized university. We are founded on the Catholic intellectual tradition, and nobody really knows what that means, but it is basically what it says here, a rigorous interdisciplinary search for truth and wisdom, forming a cornerstone of all university life, and we definitely welcome people from all faiths and all cultures. We are also the first lay-led Catholic university in the country. So just kind of a snapshot of what we look like as far as population. We have about 5,400 undergraduate students. So again, we are considered a medium-sized school. I know that can range from, 5,000 to 15,000, but we're on the smaller side of the mid-sized universities. We have about 3,500 graduate students, and that's a large number for grad programs, but I believe the reason for that is because many of our students stay on for grad school. We have some great grad programs that I'll get into later. So that's the reason for that number. But our students come from 50 states and 38 countries. Our average class size is 22, and student to faculty ratio is 13:1. So where are we? Fairfield, Connecticut is a beautiful little suburban town in the lower part of Connecticut. It's kind of nestled along the Long Island Sound, which is just a beautiful area. It's a cute little town, but the best part about it is that it's the proximity to New York City, to Boston, is just fantastic for students who want to do internships and possibly stay on and get work and jobs after graduation. So it says here on the slide 90 minutes to New York City. I actually took the express train and got there in 45 minutes. So it can be a lot quicker depending on traffic and things like that. But it's definitely a perfect location to go to college. So for our academic programs, we have over 100 majors that students can choose from, and we do have 6 different colleges in the university, and those are our College of Nursing, which is pretty much our largest, kind of most popular major. Our College of Health Professions, we have so many different options in the health professions. We have a College of Business and Technology, which includes our School of Engineering and Computer Science. We also have a College of Arts and Sciences, which includes our School of Media and Communication, and a College of Education. And then we also, our 6th one is kind of new for us. It's called St. Vincent's College. It was a merger between us and St. Vincent. St. Vincent's was more of a community college. And so there are plenty of associate's degrees as well there. But I would say our top programs definitely are in the nursing and health professions area and business. On the arts and sciences side, criminal justice and psychology are really popular as well. So I mentioned some of those graduate programs. We do have some dual degree engineering programs, law programs, pharmacy that you can see there on the slide, and also just many health profession masters like physician's assistant. Physical therapy is one of the top. Our program is one of the top in the Northeast, and just several others, occupational therapy, speech pathology, a lot of things in those areas. So over on this side of the slide, you can see we talk about our first year experience. We want to make sure that our first year students will actually stay with us. And so we try to provide just an awesome experience for them. So it's pretty much a course that you have over 8 weeks, non-credit of course, but it basically is full of seminars on study habits and just transitioning to college in general. So it's a great program, and we do have a really high retention rate from our freshman to sophomore year. Academic advising, you'll have your own advisor to pretty much, handle and make sure that you're taking the classes that you need. We do have a learning center for academic support, so there's all kinds of tutoring programs. If you need extra time on tests, if you have any type of program that you are in high school, you can go and talk to the center, and they will make sure you have the accommodations that you need. For housing and dining, we do have 8 residential halls, and we are constantly building new residence halls on campus, and they're just completely beautiful and up to date. Students who come and visit us just love the way our housing is and how it looks. It's definitely some of the best I've seen on other campuses. But we have the traditional dorm style, and usually that's more for the freshmen. But we have suite style apartments, just a lot of different things like that. We offer living and learning community so that you are living with students that are studying the same type of program as you. So we have our SHU Well community, which is more of our health profession students, and honors residence area, business. And business is great because the business students do a lot of projects together. So it's nice to be living, with the same students. Community and justice is one, gaming and technology is another one. 92% of our freshmen do live on campus. We do have some students from nearby who do commute if they're already living in the area, but you can actually live on campus all 4 years. And that's kind of a new thing for us too over the past few years. We used to have just that 2-year requirement, and then the students usually moved off campus because there wasn't space. But we are a growing university, always some kind of construction going on campus. So it's a great time to be at Sacred Heart. Not a lot of universities are having a growth period right now, and it's one of the reasons why I started working with Sacred Heart, because it's I think there's just so much potential for what it's going to become. For dining on campus, we have 9 different options, and you'll see a photo when Sarah takes over in a minute of our cute little diner, which is on campus, and I think we're the only one in the Northeast, at least, that has a real old-fashioned diner on campus. So there are plenty of different meal plans you can choose from. Most of the freshmen do our Big Red program. And just, going along with academics, obviously we want to make sure our students are getting they need so that they can land that awesome job, and usually internships can turn into jobs. So we definitely have some great programs for internships. In fact, we just met yesterday with our Center for Career and Professional Development, and the things they are doing are amazing to help students get those jobs. Even during the pandemic, they're really taking that step forward and helping these students that just graduated. And we just got some statistics actually that I think it's 99% of our recent grads are already working or going to graduate school, or at least doing some type of volunteer work in their field. So that was a great update that we had yesterday. All majors require at least 1 internship to graduate, and you can do more. And like I said, it often turns into jobs for our students. We do have some study abroad programs. Obviously right now, nobody's going abroad, but hopefully that will change again in the next year. We do have actual Sacred Heart campuses on in Ireland and Luxembourg. So Dingle, Ireland is more of our health professions type campus, and then Luxembourg would be more business oriented for those students. But you can study in over 30 different countries, plenty of opportunities there. And most students do want to study abroad these days. So I'm going to keep clicking here and then kind of turn it over to Sarah to go through the next few slides. Okay?
So thanks, Kim. And just to reintroduce myself, I'm Sarah Koloski. I'm the Regional Director of Admission based in Denver, Colorado. So I cover majority of the Midwest and the Western regions of the United States. So I'm your direct point of contact through this whole thing. I actually grew up not too far away from Sacred Heart, just over the border in upstate New York. So I had, again, tons of friends and peers who also attended SHU and loved their experience. So it's been really great to kind of come back and work for them and kind of share that with students all across the country. But diving back into the presentation, student life has been really a big part of our community, big part of our experience in our community. I actually do have some updates as what they're going to do during this semester, particularly in order to follow the mandates of the state of Connecticut with COVID-19. But as you can see, students are super active. Being that mid-size is kind of that sweet spot of being able to have sort of that balance of kind of the rah-rah like hype of a bigger school, but then also really have the attention going into it as well for students one-on-one. We are Division I, so we have 32 varsity sports. Club sports are just as popular, if not more competitive that way. Greek life, performing arts, we're actually 15th in the country for our performing arts program, with having a direct connection to Broadway. And it's one of the fastest growing performing arts programs in the New England area. It's great too, because there's a lot of opportunities within performing arts itself, whether you want to just be someone who is involved because you love the theater and you love that performance aspect, or if you are that dedicated student that wants to even be considered for scholarship in some cases. So there's a broad range of accessibility there. Community service, we're actually 13th in the country for volunteer and service work. The students really love to give back to our communities, and as much as we have all these different accolades across the board with Student Light, Habitat for Humanity is our largest student-run club on campus. I think it's very important for students to have that aspect of service one way or another, and this is kind of one of those driving forces that does so. Again, other leadership opportunities and lecture series, we're always having guest speakers come to campus, whether they're talking from an academic or personal growth perspective. We've had all kinds of visitors just come to share their experiences with students as they prepare for that next step after college. And I'm actually going to jump to the next slide and talk a little bit more about spiritual life. We touched on it a little bit, as Kim mentioned. We were founded under the Catholic intellectual tradition. So founded under the Archdiocese of Bridgeport, we actually wanted to become independent very shortly after our founding, to not only allow full autonomy with our curriculum, but also to really engage in inclusion across the board. And this initiative was started by our campus ministry, who is actually run by a priest, rabbi, and imam. And they do have a weekly podcast called One Heart, Many Faiths. So they do talk about those issues that do come up in religion, and that's okay, and do talk about kind of the options for students and learning about intercelebration and intersectionality in a way that is supported on our campus, but it isn't required. It's definitely what the student wants to do. We, of course, have traditional mass and services every day at 12 and 7 p.m. And then we do have our own respective interfaith chapels for other religions to come together and practice as such. But I think most of our programs, especially even if they are directly connected to the faith, you'll find that they're very much just about wanting to kind of teach the students about what it means to be human, what's our purpose here, and those basic tangible skills to kind of say this is what we want to be as a community, both on and off campus moving forward. And that's why we have such a big commitment to volunteer and service, both in a domestic and international setting. And the slide here, we have kind of just the highlights we touched on a little bit earlier. Like Kim said, we have a 99% job placement rate in the last 12 months for students who are recently graduated. Of those, we're actually seeing 40% of our student body come back to graduate programs that are run by Sacred Heart. there's a lot of benefits to that. Students can actually be considered in like that priority consideration for graduate programs because they are able to start taking those preliminary classes in their junior and senior years. There's accelerated options for a lot of our programs. So it's a great assimilation to further, which a lot of programs, as we're seeing, need that higher learning. So we kind of want to support students in that journey as they move forward. And if they do well, they can actually qualify for those assistantships. So essentially paying those master's years forward. But we have high accolades, as we said, in the health professions. We're ranked #1 in the state for physical therapy. We're #4 for nursing. And we actually had, for the first time, 100% first-time pass rate for our family nurse practitioner, which is among the highest tiers you can reach for nursing. And our students all passed on the first time. So we're just as dedicated as we are to our community. It kind of it reflects in our service-based majors, but that just doesn't stop there. We're ABBA accredited for our School of Business, which is top 5% of internationally accredited business schools in the world. And I actually can go to the next slide to talk a little bit more about our other growth that's happening on campus. So in the last 7 years, we've had 13 new buildings introduced to campus. So even if people have said they've seen Sacred Heart and they saw it 10 years ago, it's not the same campus. And at times it's been an eyesore, but it's paid off because the additions that they've added are beautiful, and they are just really integrating into the whole sense of community for Sacred Heart. So up top, we do have JP's Diner. As Kim mentioned, it is the only one on the East Coast, and it's only one of 3 college campuses in the entire country that have a traditional 1950 style diner. Our WSU public radio and public safety station, just to further communications both on and off campus. I'm a big avid NPR listener, and we always hear shout outs from Sacred Heart kids all the time. It's awesome. The top right is actually, we have 2 new upperclassmen dorms. So before this, we were actually about 80% residential overall, but now we're looking to be hopefully closer to fully residential in the coming years. I think we're building 1 more dormitory after this one. So we're gonna have 4 new ones for upperclassmen, and then freshmen are able to kind of move in some of the newer dorms that were just built in the last 2 to 3 years. So everyone's kind of getting that really bright new loft lounge suite style experience in their first year, which is really exciting. The bottom left is probably been our biggest project. We acquired GE's former headquarters. It is now our West campus, and this is basically the big hub for all of our College of Business and Technology is moving there. So big hub for innovation, technology, design. We have an 11,000 square foot makerspace built there, all kinds of artificial intelligence labs, game design labs. We have one of the top programs in game design currently, just because we have different hubs on campus that students can interact with at their leisure. It also has a Verizon iHub, which is kind of like a pseudo WeWork space. So we basically are working with the companies in the area, among the Fortune 500 companies that sponsor students to, especially in this time, it's been pretty crucial to have this space, because now they can have a work from home space if they're working on an internship and they physically can't go into an office. So the company sponsors the Verizon hub space for that student to be able to work in that space as if it's their own office in the time being. There's also a hotel on that site. So another growing program is our hospitality and resort management program. They're in the process of fully renovating that, and that will be fully student run in the next couple of years. So a lot of growth is happening there. We have our Bobby Valentine Athletics and Recreation Center. As you saw, we have a huge commitment to athletics and athletic supporters. So we wanted to allocate those extra spaces. So we have a separate pit recreation center that is going to be now solely used by the varsity athletes. And then the rec center is more for students who want to have a traditional fitness center. There is a bowling alley, there are new racquetball courts, and all of the club sport athletic training staff are down there as well. So it kind of gives a little bit more of a balance for students and just allocating more space as we needed. And as I said, we were growing in the performing arts. Our community center. We actually just bought and refurbished in downtown Fairfield. We just wanted to have another space for performance. We do have a traditional orchestra seating for our students in the Edgerton Center for Performing Arts. And then we do have a black box theater, which is something that can be completely changed in any situation. And on top of that, which I didn't have here because they are still so new, we are also breaking ground in a $60 million ice hockey arena. So we will have that done hopefully by the end of next year. And we also acquired University of Bridgeport. So as I mentioned, we're furthering our growth in the engineering and technological sciences. We will have new majors available for students to apply for this fall. We're just waiting to get those updates, and they're also planning to be Abbott accredited. So something that's really important in the engineering realm. We want to make sure a lot of the programs at Bridgeport already have that accreditation, and since we are merging certain majors, that's where we're going to see how we kind of fulfill that accreditation moving forward. And yeah, and that's kind of all the updates there. And we do have a little bit of updates with our application process. Overall, the process is very straightforward. We only ask for the common application and one letter of recommendation. We are test optional for all of our programs, including nursing. It does not penalize students if they decide not to send their scores. But if they are in sort of this threshold of range, I would consider it, just because they could be considered for additional scholarship moving forward. And we will accept self-reported until the time of enrollment if they do want their scores considered. Everyone is, like I said, considered for merit-based scholarships, and most students who are admitted do receive some type of merit aid. So we do try to facilitate costs with that as well.
Can I ask a really quick
Sure.
question, Sarah?
Yeah.
So with merit scholarships, would they, because you're test optional, do they need to submit test scores to be considered for those? Is there a different metric that you're using?
So for us, and particularly our populations, because we do work with a very niche group of the country, we're looking at demonstrated interest, which can be in the form, we have extensive virtual opportunities. They don't have to meet with us directly, but if they want to do an interview, it's just nice because since I am the person who reads for Ohio and most of the Midwest, I get to put a face to a name and really identify that student in the application process. And if they do have any questions, because there are a little bit extra considerations, particularly for our health profession programs and our College of Nursing. As you saw, College of Nursing has an earlier deadline than the rest of the colleges because we do just get a wealth of applications every year. So it's not involved. It's just if they want to just keep in touch, and just so we can understand how genuinely interested they are, because we're being so intentional about our search for students. We want to see how they are in the process as well. So being in touch with us, it's a great way to do that.
Good. And one comment I would say is thank you so much for providing that range of, if you are at this level of testing, we would like to see the scores. I love the transparency. That is not something that we're seeing from a lot of the schools that are test optional right now. And it is very confusing for students who are trying to decide whether or not they should be sending scores or not. So thank you for just laying it out there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And we've been test optional for over 15 years.
Right.
It's something that, and especially with the way that particularly the SAT has also changed, we know that it's something that does help students if they want to show another outlet that kind of challenges their academic rapport. But we also look at their 4-year trajectory, the things that they're involved in. Like, we want to see how they're going to become a student on campus. So we focus more on like that type of involvement, the interests, and, you know, just their overall high school career in that sense. So that's going to hold a little bit more weight for us overall. But if they have the great testing, we want to honor that too. So it's just one of those things that we want to honor it where it's needed, but we're not going to penalize if students decide not to send scores. So,
thank you.
Of course. And finally, I don't want to dwell too much on this just because I know this is a conversation for a lot of students and a lot of families, but we did open. And as of yesterday, we did have all of our students who are traveling from a farther distance to come to campus and safely quarantine, whether on or off campus if they made arrangements prior. We did partner with Quest Diagnostics, so they were able to get a COVID test and have it sent within next business day. So that way they could not have any delays and kind of ensure that they were able to move on campus safely. We are cleaning and sanitizing everything. We've shifted a lot of our lecture series into larger settings so that way we can properly social distance. Students are required to wear masks outside of their current living situation during the classroom setting. They've been really vocal about protecting one another, especially as we're bringing people from all over during this time. And we're just kind of tracking things as they go along. And we do have online hybrid options for students if they felt that they wanted to just stay home for another semester and not miss out on their education, and have made plans accordingly. And then some examples of what they're doing for the fall. This is all from the coronavirus planning team that we currently have in place on campus. So I know that's probably a big question for counselors, like what are they doing if they are on campus? And these are some of the things that they've highlighted to be really successful in being able to stay socially distant. The weather's been really nice right now. It's a little bit hotter than normal. I'm sure everyone's having that big heat wave in the Northeast, but just to kind of further that connection so they don't feel completely isolated during this very exceptionally isolating time. These are some of the things that they've kind of prompted, and hopefully we'll have more as they kind of monitor and see things successfully change down the road. But if you have any other questions, here is my contact info. Like I said, I'm based in Denver, Colorado, so I'm in Mountain Time, but please don't hesitate to reach out at any point throughout the year if you have any questions. I'm more than happy, and Kim as well. We kind of both work between the Midwest, but I do have Ohio as my territory, so I would be working and reading the students' applications from there. But thanks for listening.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. This was really very helpful. And I just, between the diner and the 200 Adirondack chairs that you just purchased, I'm like thinking, that's my kind of place. So, but Sarah and Kim, thank you for taking the time to share more about Sacred Heart with us today. And hopefully, you know, when things get back to normal times, students can get on campus and see it for themselves. And in the meantime, I'm assuming you're doing some virtual tours and things like that. Are you guys doing some virtual opportunities?
Yes, they're all on our website. We are, at the moment, we've been kind of monitoring on-campus visits on a month-to-month basis. They haven't released anything for next month just because they wanted to streamline move-in as seamlessly as possible, since it's going over the course of 2 weeks at a time. But we have all kinds of virtual seminars. We probably have had more than we've been able to, because then we were able to involve like panel faculties and these like more specialized Q&As. So it's not just admissions information sessions. There's a lot of specialized topics that you can sit in on.
That's great. And I've actually said that that's kind of one of the silver linings of this, is that having access to faculty and staff and students that otherwise might not be available for in-person types of things, being able to do some virtual things with some of those people is actually a really, I think, a positive thing. But thanks for sharing more with us today about Sacred Heart.
Sure thing.